Yo, what's going on YouTube? It's your boy Otaku Heaven coming at you with another manga chapter review. Today I'll be reviewing Black Clover chapter 26. Now, this chapter starts off with Aster finding the Cyclops sorcerer, the abandoned magician, the one they kicked out of the village because whatever reason we haven't been given yet. But apparently he has a massive amount of power and he believes that everything in this world is about magic power, so he should be acknowledged for everything that he can do, all the power that he has, and that should be the one defining character piece of every person in the world, basically. And anyone who doesn't acknowledge him is guilty. So they deserve to die by his standards. They're guilty of sin that's punishable by death. Now, we got to see some more of the other guilds in action. We got to see Sir Nozzle of the Silver Eagles up here in the northeastern quadrant, I believe. And he's declaring that they must have weaknesses. There's got to be some kind of weakness they have. And the north quadrant notices that they're not living. Um, and the east quadrant's just disgusted with them. Everyone that went there, I'm not really sure which guilds went to which quadrant. That happened last chapter, and that's a lot to remember up to now. But anyway, I doubt anyone else knows exactly which goes where unless they go back and look at it. But basically they realize what they have to do to defeat these guys is break them until they can't move. They may be powered by magic, but even with whatever magic you put in them, if they have a broken back, then they can't move. Um, Now, we got to see several different types of magic, everything from ice to fire to wind to incinerate to fog clones. There's all types of magic in there. There's two types that stood out to me because they're not generally done in other anime or manga. One chick used Mercury Rain, which is going to be pretty badass. I can't wait to see more on that power. And then we got to see Briar Magic. Now, Briar Magic's not really that far-fetched because a lot of people use nature magic or some form of magic controlling trees or roots or things like that in several different anime and manga. But no one has specified into briars yet, and briars are one of the deadliest types of trees that you can get in nature as long as you know how to use them correctly. As far as cutting and things like that, I mean, you can get poisonous stuff, and that's always a whole lot better. But if maybe later on she can control nature and she can poison the briars, if that's possible, that would be pretty badass. And she would easily stand up to anyone there with that kind of power. Now, we got to see what type of magic that this Cyclops sorcerer that we've been introduced to uses. He uses corpse magic. So basically, he animates a corpse, right? And then deposits a certain amount of mana into him, and then basically from that point he can control him to do whatever he wants him to do. And he Aster goes, "Why are you doing this? Why would you harm innocent civilians?" He said, "Did you really call them innocent? They're completely guilty. Anyone who doesn't acknowledge my power is definitely guilty." And Aster goes, "Well, I will destroy you for that, or I will defeat you for that," something along those lines. So we got to end the chapter with Aster going in to attack him. Now, we got to see a little skit from the guy who, I forget his name, I had his name last chapter, but, the other guy from the Black Clover that actually decides that he wants to be the rival of Aster besides Juno, and he's like, did he really take everybody out that fast, all those people out that fast with just a sword? It's bad fighting techniques, but you gotta admire that endurance because Aster, that's where he is. He trained all of his endurance because he has no magic power. That's what he has to do. His endurance is on a level far above most of the people in the Black Clover, and that was another thing that irritated the Cyclops sorcerer. That the first person that actually found him was from the Black Clover and a kid nonetheless. Nobody of higher power actually made it to him at a decent rate. So that was a bit offensive to him because I guess he might have seen it as they're not taking him seriously, even though he's attacking civilians. He doesn't know what they have to do to get what he has to do to get them to take him seriously. Once they are, he just doesn't know it yet. So what I hope to see out of this fight is something from the Cyclops guy, such as managing to separate Aster from his sword or something along those lines, and Aster needing help, because Aster can literally just slash through these guys all the way up till he gets to them, and the fight would just be basically empty. It would almost be on the same level as if you've seen Fairy Tail Natsu versus the Wind guy in the very first like 20 episodes or something like that. Except they had a little bit of technicality to that fight. I'm not really sure where he's going to put technicality into this fight, so that's what I'm interested to see. We didn't get too much plot advancement. Well, all we got to see was everybody basically making it to their place, and Aster basically saying why he wanted to defeat the guy, which we all knew before Aster even left the castle anyway, in the center of town. Maybe we get to see thoughts on the Sorcerer Emperor had on Aster later on after this fight, because it is happening in the city, so the Sorcerer Emperor should be able to see it as well, even though he's already left off, but he hasn't left the city, I don't think. So it'll be interesting what the Sorcerer Emperor thinks of Aster. Even though he's already seen his power, he gets to see Aster fight now, and the endurance that comes along with Aster's power, which is the greatest accommodating factor. So, yeah, overall, we didn't really get much out of this chapter, so I'm just going to give it like a 6 out of 10, because I really wasn't impressed by it, but overall it did hold my interest, so I can't really give it that low. It's like average. It's not anything spectacular, but not anything bad either. That's all. Peace.